and welcome to Simplify TV. I'm David McBee. Our guest today is Sandy DeDeon, founder and CEO of Rectified Inc. Sandy is an atypical marketer and entrepreneur who has been shaping brands since 2004. With a diverse background that combines academic knowledge, traditional work experience, and an entrepreneurial spirit, Sandy is known for creating compelling brand and go-to-market strategies. Passionate about digital marketing, including social media, lead generation campaigns, customer acquisition, and relationship management, Sandy's ultimate mission is to help D2C brands get discovered and achieve remarkable growth. Sandy, welcome to Simplify TV.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Sandy, I'd like to highlight your expertise in D2C, direct to consumer advertising, in today's episode. So I'd like to start by asking you, what is the number one mistake that D2C brands make as they try to market their brands and scale their businesses?
The number one mistake that direct to consumer brands make, and not just direct to consumer brands, but really everybody, is to use hacks and tactics for like short term gains. And that's something like if you're scaling your brand, you can't really rely on that. Maybe today you did some hack or something to grow your brand or grow your sales for the current period of time, but if you want to grow your brand and scale it for the long run, you cannot rely on hacks and tactics. You have to actually build your brand on the right foundation and actually do the work, give it some time in order for you to grow it and scale it on the right foundation.
What are some examples of hacks and tactics that you've seen people use that maybe backfired on them in the long run?
There are so many things. For example, going viral on TikTok or on Instagram or any social media platform. Today, if you go viral on, let's take TikTok, for example, and you're selling a product online, you're so happy because everybody came and bought your entire inventory. And, you're like, you think you're doing great. But what happens next is that, for example, people will still want your product and you don't have enough inventory. Did you think about how you're going to replenish these quantities? How much time it's going to take for you to create this product, or if you're ordering it from some country, or even if it's in your own city, how much time it's going to take to manufacture the new products, all of those components. How are you going to pack all these orders? Who is going to help you? And usually in these situations, direct to consumer brand founders, they start alone, and they don't have, like, they're going to bring their mother and sister and friends, and they're going to all pack things together. But how is that sustainable on the long run? Meanwhile, while you're doing things slowly and gradually and then increasing all your sales and doing the right strategies, that's when you're going to be able to grow and stay where you are, and not just like increase sales and then drop down, and then everybody will forget about you and have bad reviews because you shipped late or you didn't have enough products and all of those things. So that's one of the examples.
Let's shift the mindset from a D2C brand to an agency that's working with a D2C brand. What are some of the mistakes maybe that they make in this same regard?
Usually agencies, tradition in the traditional sense of an agency, they come and then tell you, oh, you're not doing TikTok or you're not doing Pinterest, let's do this because it's what's missing in the equation, sort of. What I usually like to do is to actually analyze the business and create the strategy. So I start with like a consulting part first before saying, let's go start with Pinterest because this is what you need for your business, or let's do Google Ads, or whatever it is that's missing.
Now, you mentioned Pinterest, and I happen to know from doing my research that you are a big fan of leveraging Pinterest. And I don't think Pinterest is the first place that most of us think of when building campaigns for our clients. So, what are we missing? What's so great about Pinterest?
I really love Pinterest for product based businesses, even service based businesses. I use it for my business and I use it for the direct to consumer brands that I work with. Because Pinterest, first of all, it's a happy place. There's no bad news there. There's no, all those negative vibes. And second of all, it's not really a social media platform. It is a visual search engine. That's how they define it. So imagine you are selling something, a product or a service, and then there's somebody else on the other side searching for this product or this service. So when they go there, they're going to see, let's say you're, I don't know, decorating your
Let's do
living
a
room.
furniture store. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
on the same page. Furniture store.
exactly. You're decorating your living room. You go on Pinterest and you start looking for things, ideas, and then you're going to find pictures of different living rooms, and then there are products in these pictures, and these products are provided by a brand that sells, I don't know, a couch or a table or a lamp or pillows, anything that you can find in the living room. And then you're going to click on this picture, you're going to go to this brand's website, and here you go, like this thing that you really wanted and you added it on your board and you really want to have your living room looking like this. There's the brand that sells this exact product and you're going to go and buy it from there. So it's just something that you start there, you post these things, and then the more the account grows, it becomes like a snowball effect. Sometimes there are pins that you pinned, I don't know, like 3 years ago, and they're still bringing traffic to people's websites. So that's why I love it so much. It just becomes like a marketing machine, sort of.
That really kind of puts it into perspective. And I can see it for brands that have products like sofas and tables, but I'm struggling with the idea of a service provider, say an insurance company or a hospital. How would they leverage Pinterest?
Usually for service based businesses, the goal is to bring people from Pinterest and have them to your email list, or just like bring traffic. If you're doing retargeting ads, that becomes a whole other thing. But if we're talking organic, I bring them to my email list, and then from there you can build those relationships with them depending on what kind of service you're offering. And in terms of like hospitals, I've never seen hospitals, but I did work with a client who was providing women's health services. So people like postpartum services, or women who are pregnant. And they were on Pinterest and people were actually converting. So they were offering like one-on-one consultancy online, or they had doulas and things like that for pregnant women, and it was working very well. And they had all those rules about HIPAA compliance, and I don't know the details, but it was working very, very well for them.
What were the pictures of?
So a pin is a very long rectangle on Pinterest. So I always have like a title and a call to action, and then some sort of a picture. If it's a podcast episode, I have the guests, me and the guest, or just the guest. And if it's just something about social media or something about email marketing, etc., I just put some relevant image in the center, but like with a big title and a call to action. The same applies for a product. The same applies for like the health service. It's pregnant women with like a big headline that says need help. I don't know. It depends on, what the topic is about. And then a call to action like click here or book now or buy now or whatever it is.
So they're almost display ads.
Yeah, it's very static, but nowadays, since 2 years now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I forgot the date, but they started also adding idea pins, which is a little bit like TikTok meets Instagram stories kind of thing. So there are some dynamic videos also on the platform.
Awesome. Well, we're almost out of time, but anybody who wants to learn more about all your expertise on Pinterest, they can look for you online, and that's how I
Yeah.
found you. So that's fantastic. Before we go, do you have a podcast or a book that you'd like to recommend to our audience? And feel free to share your own podcast here if you like.
It's on almost all podcast platforms. It's called The Rectified podcast. It is specifically for direct-to-consumer brands. Other than that, I'm currently reading Never Split the Difference. I don't know if you've heard of
I
it.
have.
Maybe I can recommend that. Yeah.
Thanks for being my guest on Simplify TV. What's the best way for viewers to learn about you?
I'm mostly active on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. My name is the handle at Sandy Dedeyan.
All right. Well, thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for watching. Simplify TV is sponsored by Simplify, helping you to maximize relevance and multiply results with our industry-leading media buying and workflow solutions. For more information, visit simply.fi. Thanks for joining us today. I'm David McBee. Be awesome, and we'll see you next time.